Okay, so according to Goodreads, I am currently reading 15 books. I like to think that a lot of people go through this, but I don't think that a lot of people go through this. If you are one of those readers that like to read more than one book at a time, maybe you will understand what I'm talking about. If not, then I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. Here's the thing, I normally like to read one physical copy, one audiobook, and one ebook. So I have a format. No matter what is happening, I have something to read. So no matter the circumstance, I always have a book with me, and I always have something to read or listen to that is like a book. So I like that, and I enjoy that, and I obviously love to read as much as I can. So having those three formats always in the grasp of my hands is great, but I cannot always buy the book 3 times over. That's crazy. So I just have 3 different books all the time. I am really sorry, complete change of subject, but I am really sorry about the lighting. It's actually almost 10 p.m, so we're all using fake light. So I'm very, very sorry about that, but just bear with me for this video. Life got in the way. So I'm filming really late. But yes, I really want to talk about the books and just decide, am I going to completely DNF them? Will I ever go back to them? Will I just not? I need to be realistic. And then why are there 15 books that I'm currently reading? Sometimes I put books aside and it's not a complete DNF because I know that I want to go back to them, but maybe it will take weeks, maybe months, maybe years before I go ahead and continue reading. So yeah, let's go through these, shall we? First of all, Finders Keepers by Stephen King. I am actually reading this currently, actually reading it, and I am really enjoying it, almost halfway through it. I'm really liking this one. This is the second book in the Bill Hodge trilogy, the first one being Mr. Mercedes, which I also really enjoy and really like. I love seeing detective work, how they catch the killer, that kind of thing, but also with the twist of Stephen King. He obviously creates a lot of suspense, and he really brings you into the story and manages to just make you want to keep turning the page. So Stephen King, of course I'm going to read it. I'm really enjoying this one. I am actually currently reading this one every single day. It's fine, this should actually be in my currently read list. Perfect. The next thing that I'm actually currently reading is Thunderhead, which is the second book in the Ark of Scythe trilogy by Neil Shusterman. I don't think you need an introduction to these. Everyone pretty much know what these books are about, but this is an utopia, and we follow these 2 characters that have to glean people, which means they have to kill people, because we are in a utopia where everything is pretty much already figured out. We humans cannot die anymore, but we have to control population, etc., etc. We all know this exponential growth is not good in any sort of way, so we have to clean people, which means kill them permanently in this world. And these 2 characters are chosen to be apprenticed to become insides, who are the ones that clean people. In the first book, we really get introduced into the world, and also we see the characters grow. In the second book, I feel it's more political. We are really seeing the behind the scene of how society works, and you start to wonder, is this a utopian or is this a dystopian in some cases? We need to find that balance, I think, with this book. I am enjoying this. I'm listening. This is my audiobook at the moment. I am loving it. I'm halfway through it. It's great. There's some parts when I'm really? Oh, I mean, it is definitely not a realistic thing, but I feel even when you're in a fantasy world or a utopia in this case, when you manage to bring realistic characters, that's what really brings the book to another level. And sometimes I don't feel that this is the case for this book. I will continue reading it because I am enjoying it. So again, that is actually in the actually reading list. The next thing, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. This was my ebook and I was reading it for a little while. I was like 60% into it. There were some parts that I was really enjoying, but a ton of parts that I was just so bored with this book. I do want to finish it because I want to know how the story ends. So I guess it's not so bad because I am invested in it a little bit, but it might take me a while to get back to it. We all know what this is about here on BookTube. Yes. Also, I feel like a lot of the people explain this book as a black woman in New York that's a babysitter and goes to a grocery store, and this white old lady goes to the guards in the store, and she's like, that girl over there obviously kidnapped the child. And that's all they say about the book, but I do have to say that that's only like the first chapter of that. It goes into a whole other story. Like, this is not what I was expecting, and also I think that's why I stopped reading it, because I had other expectations going into it. Like, I knew it was not going to be completely realistic, but I was thinking that I might get something out of it, like bring it into the real world and into the real world problems. And it was not doing that for me. Even though I got a little bit invested in the characters, I will want to finish this. So I'm gonna leave it there for a little while. I don't think I'm gonna read it in October. Maybe November will be the month. The Ritualist, or just Ritualist by Dakota Crowd. I was not able to get into this new genre that is like blooming into the reading world. We basically follow a character that's in a video game. I like video games. I prefer to actually play them than to read about someone who's playing them, even though the video game is kind of really, well, it's really realistic. Like, they kind of kill this guy and kind of upload him to play, and I have a feeling that this is going to be like a forever situation for him. Like, it's kind of really creepy. In some parts I was just like not interested enough. I don't think that this genre is for me. I don't know if I should completely DNF this. Maybe I should, because I was not enjoying it as much. But I'm like halfway through it, so maybe I should DNF that. The Silver Arrow by Lev Grossman. This is a little kid's book, and I thought it was going to be a little bit more interesting, but I found it a really mainstream story, and it really didn't have to go and to be that long. I think it's like one of those bedtime stories that you read with like huge drawing and like 2 lines when you were a kid, and it should have just been kept to that size. But Lev Grossman is just extending this adventure and it making it so long that I personally lost interest. And I feel like if you were to read it to a kid, they would too, even if they were like invested in the story. It's too long for a little kid. And for me, it was also too long. Like, I just wanted it to be over, and I am almost done with it. I think I have to listen to like 40 minutes of it. Also, this is an arc, so I should have listened to it by now, but I haven't, because I just got bored, uninterested. It was like a whatever mainstream child story with nothing new, nothing to add. It was boring. So yes. Oh, The Relentless Moon by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is the 3rd installment in the Lady Astronaut novels. I love the first one. I have a review just like fangirling about it because I loved it so. so much. Like, it had me turning the page and just loving it. And it was amazing. I was like mind blown by it, kind of, in like a non-fiction way. But then the second book was okay. I was invested, but not as much. And then this third book was not. I don't want to say that it's bad, because it isn't. I just didn't care for anything that was happening in this book. We are not following the lady astronaut anymore. We're following a lady astronaut, but not the lady astronaut, not the same character. We're following someone else that I was like, not caring about. I was already very invested in the main character from the other two books, and then suddenly we don't have that character. And I was just like not caring about it. Also, not a lot of science, not a lot of space exploration, not a lot of the stuff that made the first two books so amazing and so great for me. Instead, we're just talking more about politics, and it would have been good, but these politics are in a fake world. It's like a belief world, like what would happen to our world if this was the situation. Politics, and like, do we have to do that? Especially in books that we were so invested in the science fiction about it. I didn't love it. I was not invested in it. I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and finish it. I was just like reading it to see if some of the characters appeared, and they do. But I really wanted to find Elma Jork, our lady astronaut, the lady astronaut, appear somehow in the books, and it's just not. So, Blood of Wonderland by Colin Oakes. I don't know why this is still there. I DNF'd this a really long time ago. I just feel like with these YA books, nothing is happening. Nothing interesting is happening. The characters are like, whatever. It's not for me. I don't like it. I think that they're really... I'm gonna say it. I think that they're really bad. I'm so sorry. If you like them, that's great. It's a retelling of The Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Completely not even trying to resemble the book. It kind of resembles more the movies, but it just like went apart from anything that I've seen, anything that I read from The Queen of Hearts, and just like they make like one of these awful huge villains that are so terrifying because they're so unpredictable and just like so ugly to the world, and they make her a teenager with stupid problems and like kind of the victim. And I hate when we are just saying that villains are villains because they are the victim or they were the victim. Like, sure, you go through something rough, you don't just start cutting people's heads because of that. Like, you just don't. I'm sorry, I couldn't get on with it. Not with the characters, not with the story, not with anything. I thought it was going to be darker. I thought it was going to be better, and it just wasn't. I don't know why that's there. I DNF'd this a real long time ago again, so not even. If It Bleeds by Stephen King, I was loving this. I was having the time of my life with this until I came upon one of the short stories that talks about one of the characters in the Bill Hodge trilogy, and it spoiled the books for me. Not in a major way, but one of the outcome of one of the characters was spoiled for me. So I just like closed that and stopped reading that. And when I finish with the Bill Hodge trilogy, and with The Outsider, because that character also appears in The Outsider, I will be able to go back into If It Bleeds. But I was really loving it and enjoying it, which is weird with Stephen King short stories. Normally I have like some stories that I really love and some stories that are like, okay, whatever. But I was like really, really invested in all of the stories. So I really want to go back and finish If It Bleeds. So that stays there for sure. The Last Sword, another YA that's like, this is the Red Queen series. I don't know how many books there are. I think that when I read the first book, I was younger and I enjoyed it a little bit more. And I didn't saw like the outcome of that coming. If you don't know what this book is about, We follow, of course, a teenage girl that is just like sent to the castle. I don't even remember why, but this world is separated between people with red blood that are just like normal people, and people with, I believe, silver blood that have kind of superpowers, but they're evil and they control everything, and they have like I was gonna say political stuff, but it's not. It's more like a monarchy, and within that they're like awful people basically. And we have this teenage girl with red blood that apparently has powers, so everyone wants to kill her for that. Yay! And she's just like in there to like change the world or something. Like, is that kind of a YA trope that you see all the time over and over in different forms, but basically the same thing. And then this second book, I was just like not impressed because I read it later on in life, and probably I should just DNF it, because I don't think, even if I finish this book, I'm not gonna go ahead and read the next ones. Not my thing. Next, Needful Things by Stephen King. I was reading this as an audiobook, which was an awful decision because it's hours and hours and hours long. I want to get the physical copy because I feel like I'm gonna be able to like read it faster, to go through it faster. I feel like this is one of those books by Stephen King that is really boring to me, even though later on it pops back in my head, like I'm doing something else and suddenly the characters or something that happened in the book comes back into my mind. So I know that I'm getting something out of it and that I'm actually enjoying it, even though when I'm reading it I feel like nothing is happening. And also I want to see the outcome of these, because we have this really sketchy, fishy store that sells everything that you can possibly want. It can be objects, it can be anything else basically. And this creepy guy that owns the store moves into this small town, and it would give you anything that you want. And this kid comes in and he wants like the full collection of cards, like baseball cards. I don't know what that really is. But it's like his dream to have them, and he has that special one, and he gives it to him for a really cheap price, but in return he has to do something. And basically he's just like bringing all of the people into town, and what he's doing is kind of making a disaster of a town. Like everyone is doing some sort of thing that connects with each other in a way that makes people angry and makes conflict with each other. So I feel like this can go really bad into like complete war between everyone in the town. And with Stephen King, I mean, like, he really can't. So I feel like it's going to get really good anytime. Like, I'm really hoping for that. So I will continue reading these. I need to find a physical copy because I cannot. With the audiobook, it's just like way too long. Like, I can't. The next thing is Letters of Vincent van Gogh. I love the paintings. Obviously, I mean, like, who doesn't really? But also the way that he writes is so poetic, so beautiful. It's like an art in itself. If you have not seen any of his great letters, just go ahead and read them because they're beautiful. My problem with this is that I couldn't read a single page without him making a reference to other paintings, other artists, or something else, someone else, and I had to go ahead and Google that. So if he was saying something about like an artist and a painting, and you're like, okay, cool, but then the way that he describes it, the way that he describes colors, figures, textures is so beautiful, so poetic, that you have to go and Google the image to like go along with the reading. So it was taking me a really long time, and I just put it aside. I do really want to pick this one up because I was having a phenomenal time, and I feel like it was bringing me so much joy. So I will definitely continue reading that. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I mean, like, I see the uphill on these, and I see why this is an important read. I was a little bit bored by it. I don't like kids, and this is just like little kids alone in an island. And I was just like, come on. So I'm gonna force myself to read this one because I know I'm gonna get stuff out of it one day. Not anytime soon though, so. Oh, this is gonna be so bad. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is a collection of short stories, 12 cuentos peregrinos. I was trying to get along with him for a while now. I tried 100 Years of Solitude years ago. I found it extremely boring, and then I read one of the short stories in here. Extremely boring as well. So maybe I'm just giving up on him, which is sad, but I don't like it. Maybe it is because I'm reading it in Spanish. I don't know, but I cannot get along with the writing style. I really hate it. I mean, it's not bad, of course not. I just really don't enjoy it. Like, I don't understand why you would write like this. Like, I don't. I love classics. I don't like Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I think that's a very important thing for me to just discover, because I was like, I gave it a try, but I'm not sure, and maybe I should give it another try. I didn't like it, and now I can say I don't like Gabriel Garcia Marquez's writing, which I guess is like okay-ish. And then An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. I was having a really good time with this until it just bored me, and I am not that far off either. But I feel like it's really repetitive. Like, he goes into different stories, and he tells you about the training at NASA and the training that he had to do to like become an astronaut, and not only that, but like the way that he plays the guitar. He speaks a ton of different languages. That is really impressive and really cool to read, but I feel like he was saying the same thing over and over and over and over. Every single time that he was telling a story, he went back to the same point. And it's just like, I couldn't take it anymore. I feel like I would want to read this. Probably not like the final part that I'm missing, but like go back to it and reread it. Because the stories are cool. Like, of course, they're like super cool. But I was just like not getting along with the writing and not getting along with the way of like repeating itself over and over. I didn't enjoy it. He was trying to make a point, and that's fabulous. But when you move to another story, tell something else. Don't go back to the same point. And then another story goes back to the same point. Another story, and the same thing over and over and over. And I was hoping that this would change sometime. It didn't. And it was driving me crazy a little bit. The last thing that I have is The Bastard of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. This is huge collection of short stories. I am getting myself little by little through this huge thing. Whenever I can and whenever I feel like reading something but not something huge, I go to one of the short stories. This is not my favorite bind up of his in short stories. I feel like I've enjoyed, like really liked and enjoyed one of them, and the rest of them are like okay-ish. Doesn't mean that they're bad, like I still enjoy them, because I just even like the writing style and the way that Stephen King has descriptions of other things, the way that he sees and perceives people, things, but mostly I feel like actions that a lot of the characters make, I like. So even if they're not like my favorite short stories, I have a good time reading them, so I'm gonna continue to read that. Those are the 15 books that I am currently reading. How many books are you currently reading? I am curious. Please let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations. Leave a thumbs up and leave a heart emoji so that I know that you watch all the way through. And I will see you beautiful book dragons in my next video. Bye!